The most attractive thing you can do when you really want someone? Act like you don't need them. I know it sounds backwards. Every instinct screams pursue harder, show more interest, prove your worth. But I just analyzed two real emails from guys who tried both approaches with the same woman. Same guy, same girl, two totally different strategies. The results will mess with your head. The psychology behind why we chase. Before we dive into these stories, you need to understand what's happening in your brain when you meet someone you really want. Your primitive mind goes into scarcity mode. It whispers, "This is rare, this is special, don't lose this." So you start calculating, you start strategizing, you think more contact equals more connection, more attention equals more attraction. But here's what actually happens. The moment you start operating from fear they'll forget you, fear someone else will swoop in, fear you're not good enough, you flip the entire dynamic. You become the one chasing, they become the one being chased, and nobody wants what's chasing them. Story 1, The Scientist's Experiment. This first email came from a guy who calls himself a scientist. He decided to run an actual experiment on himself with an ex who kept coming back into his life. Same woman, two completely different approaches. The results: night and day. Approach 1, the needy strategy. First time around, he did what most guys do. Constant texting during his finals, calling to check in, acting like every moment of silence meant she was losing interest. She told him she didn't think it was worth pursuing. He got hurt, called her a fool. But here's where it gets interesting too. Days later, she runs into him on the street with friends. Suddenly she's interested again, sets up a date for after Christmas, even texts him that night saying he looked good. What changed? In person, he wasn't being needy, he was just being himself. But then, and this is where most guys screw up, he couldn't help himself. He texted her between that night and the actual date. She canceled. Approach 2, the scarcity strategy. Fast forward to this year. New Year's Eve comes around. Last year, he texted her at midnight. Like a lovesick teenager. This year, radio silence. January 7th rolls around. Guess who reaches out first? She does. Thinking about you, hope you had a great New Year's. Now here's the key: when she reached out, he didn't immediately suggest hanging out. He reciprocated briefly, then let her do the work. 3 days later, she's asking about his availability for the weekend. He suggests she come over with wine to make dinner. She agrees. They have an amazing night, great conversation, incredible chemistry, and yes, they sleep together. The difference: first approach, he was afraid she'd forget him, so he reminded her constantly that he existed. Second approach, he made space for her to miss him, so when she reached out, she actually wanted to be there. The neuroscience of desire. Here's what's happening in her brain during approach 2. When you pull back, you create what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. She gets a hit of dopamine from your attention, then it goes away. Her brain starts craving the next hit. When you're constantly available, constantly texting, constantly there, there's no mystery, no anticipation, no dopamine hit. You become as exciting as her morning coffee. Routine, expected, boring. But when she has to wonder what you're doing, when she has to reach out first, when she has to earn your attention, suddenly you're interesting again. Story 2, The Warrior's Weakness. The second email came from a guy who's literally a badass ex-paratrooper working private security in war zones, 6'4", built like a tank. This dude jumps out of planes and walks into combat zones for a living, but put him in front of a woman he cares about. He turns into a needy mess. He met this girl online while deployed in Afghanistan. Perfect connection. She falls head over heels, starts talking marriage, kids, the whole future. But here's the thing: he's away 2 months, home for 4 weeks. Tough schedule for any relationship. Every time he'd leave, she'd break up with him to protect herself. And every time he'd do the right thing without knowing it, he'd just let her go. Few days later, she'd be back, missing him like crazy. Where it all went wrong: last deployment, he gets fed up with the pattern. They agree to take a break, but instead of just taking the break, he says, and I quote, "Take your time, think it over, maybe date a few people and see if you still want me." Dude, you're a literal warrior. Why are you giving her permission to test drive other guys? While he's deployed, she dates someone else, sleeps with him. When our paratrooper gets back, she sleeps with him the first night, then goes home crying because she's confused. He gives her a week to think it over. She goes back to the other guy and sleeps with him again. Now he's devastated. His whole future just crumbled. the meltdown. Here's where the badass becomes a beta. He starts sending emails confessing feelings he never shared before, begging her to wait for him, acting like the needy guy she originally ran from. The more he pursued from overseas, the more she pulled away and got closer to the other guy. Why? Because she fell in love with a confident warrior who had his own mission, not some guy crying over email from a military base, the pattern that destroys everything. Both stories show the same psychological pattern. Fear-based thinking creates fear-based behavior. When you're afraid she'll forget you, you act in ways that make you forgettable. When you're afraid someone else will take your place, you act in ways that push her towards someone else. When you're afraid you're not good enough, you act in ways that prove you're not good enough. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy powered by your own insecurity. The counterintuitive solution. The solution isn't to play games or manipulate anyone. The solution is to genuinely develop what I call outcome independence. You want her, but you don't need her. You'd love to be with her, but you'll be fine without her. You hope she chooses you, but you're not going to beg her to. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being secure. Secure people don't chase, they attract. Secure people don't convince, they inspire. Secure people don't force, they allow. How this shows up in real life. When you're outcome independent, you do things differently. Instead of texting immediately after a great date, you give her space to miss you. Instead of being available every time she calls, you have your own life happening. Instead of agreeing to just be friends when she's unsure, you know your worth and walk away. Instead of convincing her why she should choose you, you let your actions demonstrate your value, the attraction equation. Here's the brutal truth. Attraction isn't logical. You can't reason someone into wanting you. You can't negotiate desire. You can't convince someone to feel chemistry. But you can create the conditions where attraction flourishes, and those conditions require space, mystery, a little bit of uncertainty. When she knows she has you completely, the chase is over. Game 1. Dopamine stops flowing. When she has to wonder about you, work for you, reach out to you, that's when her brain lights up like a Christmas tree. The business parallel. This same psychology applies everywhere in life. Ever notice how the best job opportunities come when you're not desperately looking? How people want to invest in your business when you don't need their money? How friends want to hang out more when you're busy and less available? Desperation repels, confidence attracts in every area of life. Back to our stories. The scientist learned this lesson. His second attempt worked because he wasn't afraid of losing her anymore. He'd already lost her once and survived the paratrooper. He's still learning, but he's starting to get it. Last update he sent, he stopped all contact, went completely silent. A few weeks later, guess who reached out? She did. Because when you stop chasing, sometimes they start wondering why. The real secret. The most attractive thing about not needing someone isn't the strategy itself. It's what not needing them says about you. It says you have options. It says you have standards. It says you value yourself enough to walk away from something that doesn't serve you. It says you're confident in your worth and confidence. That's the real aphrodisiac, your next move. So here's what you do if you're in this situation right now. Stop texting first. Stop calling to check in. Stop being available every time they reach out. Not because you're playing games, but because you're respecting yourself. Start focusing on your own life. Your goals, your mission, your purpose. Become the kind of person you want to date. And if they reach out, which they probably will, don't jump immediately. Take your time. Respond when you want to, not when you feel obligated to. Remember, the right person will make an effort to be with you. The wrong person will make excuses. Your job isn't to convince anyone of your worth. Your job is to know your worth. So yeah, now you know why acting like you don't need someone is the most attractive thing you can do when you really want them. Stop chasing, start attracting. Your future self will thank you. And if you want to learn more about building this kind of unshakable confidence in all areas of your life, the video right here breaks down the psychology of why confident people get everything they want. Click it, you won't regret it.